podcast, and today we're talking about COVID-19 and how it's affecting people all over the damn world and how boring it is, but at least we have Minecraft. So make sure, all my fellow gamers, to break and destroy and do whatever you gotta do to be not bored. Don't nobody know. Okay, you guys, we're going to do something. Down to the weather cycle. We are legends, so we are allegedly destroyers, and today on the podcast Jaden was supposed to be doing the podcast with us. I don't know when he'll be back or if he'll be back at all, but what I do know is without Jaden this is not a proper podcast, and once Jaden comes back we can really get into the depths of COVID-19. Now if he does not come back after a while, we'll just have to get on with the podcast. And of course we are going to be first up talking about how it's affecting China. Of course that's where it originated, and of course that's common knowledge to everyone almost. And well, that's where it affected. It affected mainly Wuhan, I'm pretty sure. So Wuhan was it, and that's where it was in Wuhan. And the only problem that we must talk about is I saw somewhere on the news from hopefully a trusted source that it may just be rumors, that officials may be worried about another outbreak in China. Now please do not get worried, because I do not know if this is factual or if this is a rumor that's been going around. So make sure to subscribe so you can hear more Minecraft podcasts. And this may sound boring, and it's probably just the news, but it's just how it works. Hello. So COVID-19 is really bad, basically, and it's affecting China not so much still, because China kind of got over it now, but they're, as I said before, they may be fearing another outbreak now. To one of the worst, I think, bad affected countries in the world at the moment, and certainly in Europe, is Italy. Now Spain is also not doing so good well. It's among my top list of worst infected countries, but Italy is certainly something else, because Italy is just being thrashed, you may say, by this coronavirus, and many people are dying, and it's rather scary for the Italian people, and for the Italian community, older community especially. They must be, as I don't want to sound old and unfun, but quaking in their boots. So basically it's pretty hectic. Now next we have to talk about Spain. I've not really heard much about Spain. It's not really been on the news as much as it probably should be, considering it's really bad. But here's our top COVID-19 story for today. Just before we go any further on the countries list, top COVID-19 stories so far that I heard today, which is my top story anyway, don't know about you guys. But the fact that the US, America, have decided that they will be passing a bill for $3 trillion to help with Corona. Now that may seem a bit over the top, and personally when I first heard it I was like, that is a bit over the top. But when you think about it, it's not really that over the top, because it's just a bill they're passing, so it's like they kind of need to put as much money into this COVID-19 stuff as they possibly can, because if they don't, that could mean pretty bad stuff for everyone. So it kind of sucks for now that the podcast is not as energetic as it should be, but this podcast is a more serious podcast than one we had on a superb survival, which was, now podcasts may be about things like the latest sports news, but now, as you all have heard probably, that sport is basically cancelled because of COVID-19. Now, the coronavirus is its most common name, and many people, when talking about it, call it coronavirus. And the strange thing is that this virus, many people were saying is like the flu, but many infected were saying it was not. So it's a virus like the flu, like influenza, and it's pretty hectic. So it's pretty insane that this is happening all over the world, and that there are two theories. That two of the most popular theories are: one, someone in China ate a bat and unfortunately contracted COVID-19 from it, a disease which no one had ever heard of before, a brand new problem for the country, and which would mean in months to come there will be a lot of racism towards Chinese people and many other things, Asian people, and but there's another, the second most popular theory, which is also, I'm not doing this is not in order, by the way, they're both very popular views on how the coronavirus or COVID-19 started. So they say that the government created it in a lab. You know, obviously that's personally, for myself, that is probably what it's about. So I don't know if I put it in the title. So this podcast is just click onto the podcast and you can hear all about COVID-19. So make sure to click onto it right now, and make sure if you ever see a podcast again like this, click on that. I did a lot of streams today, but this one is a pretty serious stream for everyone. And so that's the second theory. Anyway, on to now more about the US. I don't know exactly how many people have died from it. I think I heard about around 100 people. Many people have contracted it, I'm pretty sure. In the US, it's a massive country, so it was only a matter of time before it started spreading rapidly across the states of the USA. And what will scare most individuals is the fact that they still don't have a vaccine, which is very worrying for a lot of people, which mean that these measures, which means no activities, no social activities, no school even, may go on, in Ireland will be going along for a long time. Will be going on past the 29th of March. Anyway, on to our next country. It is, of course, the UK. Now, the UK, a couple of nights ago, it might have been a week or so ago, I can't really remember how long ago, let's just say a few days ago, the UK went into lockdown. Now, Boris Johnson and the UK government had not been doing a lot about COVID-19, but they did end up going into lockdown. Which has meant that many Irish people, including myself and my parents and my family, expected us to go into Ireland itself to go into lockdown the next day, which it didn't. I'm sure a lot of you know that, because now let's talk more about Ireland. I know a lot about Ireland and what's going on because, well, I live there. So it's rather strange because this, for everyone, is the beginning of the most boring few weeks of our lives. Indeed, schools were supposed to be closed until the 29th of March, but they've lengthened stuff out, and many students slash adults slash people or whatever, unemployed people, working people even as well, this has affected their lives greatly. But I don't think, now let's raise awareness, I just want to raise awareness about this, not saying anyone's wrong about anything like that, but I think people didn't really care when I was in China, which I think people should have probably cared more about the poor Chinese people, because I bet they're thinking about how poor the poor Italians and the poor Chinese people and Spanish and US citizens and stuff are. So I'm sure this is really nerve-wracking for a lot of people, and it's very nerve-wracking for doctors and places. So I feel like people should have been more aware of the situation when it was just in China, in Wuhan even. And personally, whatever happens, do not be racist towards these people, because every Asian or Chinese person, because these people have done nothing wrong and have done nothing to deserve the fact that you think, oh, they're Chinese, they're responsible. They are not all responsible for what the government or one person has done. So they still don't know how COVID-19 started, and they probably will not know for a while. And if it was the government will not admit to it till years later, when this is all blown over, and the government seem to be not so caught up in the fact that their country is being heavily criticized and there's a lot of problems there. So now it would be no surprise to me either, or anyone I'm sure, if it turned out one person decided it would be a good idea to eat a bat. That if you're ever thinking of eating weird or exotic foods, think about what happened. And obviously, personally, and I'm sure that many people, I hope many people share this view, that the Chinese, if they eat these strange things and they've never contracted an illness before, I think they probably put a purification or process to make sure it is 100% safe to eat. It may not seem the nicest, but us eating, I don't know, like our foods, our traditional foods, like, do they have potatoes? They probably don't widely eat potatoes and some vegetables. So they came over, they'd be like, oh my god, that's a potato, that's from the ground, that is disgusting. Just as we would be if we saw a Chinese person, if we went to China, do not go there, do not leave your homes. I'm not saying you should, but if we went there, we would see that if you saw someone eating a snake, a bit of snake, if you saw someone eating a snake, you'd be like, ew, that's disgusting, which is probably what people think when you see someone, if they saw someone eating one of our foods in their homes. Now, of course, I think that today concludes our podcast of COVID-19. If you want to see more podcasts, make sure to tune in. Hopefully daily for the podcast. I cannot guarantee which time. Probably at later on in the day or nighttime. At around half 8, half 9 UK time. So at night, I'm not going to be waking up at half 8 to do a podcast. Thank you very much. So now let's just listen to a bit of Doja Cat, because why not? Some of Fun Child. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio!